Jainism is an ancient religion going back over 2,500 years, followed by just 3 to 4 million people, mostly in India. We can say that Jainism is life-affirming in that it respects the life spirit or soul that they believe to be present in the world in every living being. However, Jainism is world-denying in that it tends to reject an overly materialistic approach to life. The ultimate goal of this spiritual path is to release the soul from the cycles of reincarnation that keep it bound, trapped even, in the material realm. The primary value by which Jains live is known as ahimsa, the practice of nonviolence to any sort of living being. Jainism does not recognize the presence of a creator God, as it teaches that the universe is eternally existing. It did not need a creator because it has always been in existence. Rather than being focused on worship and rituals, the Jain spiritual life is a matter of moral behavior. Jainism teaches that there have been a series of 24 great spiritual teachers called Tirthankaras, going back countless thousands of years into prehistory. Contemporary Jainism took its current form in the 6th century BCE under the 24th and last of these teachers, known as Mahavira. His given name was Nataputta Vardhamana. He was born in northeast India in 599 BCE and died in 527 BCE. He never married and took vows of renunciation at the age of 30, once his parents had died and he no longer had family responsibilities. He pursued a strict ascetic practice for 12 years and then spent the remaining 30 years of his life recognized by others as a great spiritual teacher. Jainism teaches that, while there may not be a creator God, there are many spiritual beings at various stages of spiritual enlightenment. Among these are those known as Jinna, who have conquered the bounds that tie the soul to the material world. Those Jinna who, like Mahavira, were also great spiritual teachers in this world are known as Tirthankara. The term Siddha is used in reference to a liberated soul, one that has been liberated from the rounds of rebirth into the material world. The goal of Jainism is to become a Jinna. While these spiritual beings are sometimes referred to as gods, they are not the kind of gods who expect devotion or obedience from people, nor do they respond to petitionary prayer. These gods are made. They were once as we are, and we can become what they have become, souls liberated and free of the material world, moving on to further spiritual enlightenment. As to the nature of life in this world, Jainism makes a distinction between what they call jiva and ajiva. Jiva refers to anything that is a living being, that which has soul or spirit. Ajiva is non-living matter. All living beings are souls trapped in a material body. Jainism recognizes life in all sorts of forms, down to even microscopic beings. There is a hierarchy of living beings based on how many senses they have. Humans are the highest, with 6 senses, the 5 physical senses plus intelligence. Animals follow, being 5, 4, 3, or 2-sensed. Plants are considered 1-sensed beings. They also recognize microscopic beings contained in water, earth, fire, and air. All living beings are considered with equal respect, as all contain soul, and all souls are equal and interchangeable from one life to another. All that differs is the physical body they are trapped in during any living lifetime. But this does not make them, or their life, of any lesser value than that of a human. As such, Jains afford the same respect to all forms of life and are strict vegetarians, seeking to not impose on the life of another being, no matter how small. All are significant. Jainism teaches that all living beings, as they move and act in this world, accumulate karma. Karma is considered an impurity of the soul, which keeps us bound to the cycles of reincarnation. Karma is the effect our actions have on our souls. Good actions produce good karma, while bad actions produce bad karma. Every thought, word, deed, and attitude leaves an imprint behind on our soul. In order to release or liberate the soul from the material realm, karma must be reduced and ultimately eliminated. Once this is accomplished, Jainism teaches we can achieve moksha, or nirvana, releasing the soul into the spiritual realm to continue its journey toward greater and greater levels of enlightenment, unencumbered by the limitations of a physical body. This reduction of karma and liberation of the soul is accomplished through the spiritual and moral discipline of the Jain life. Ahimsa is the primary guiding principle, to live in such a way as to do the least possible harm to any other living beings. Apigraha is to be unattached to material possessions. This is another principle of living. Anekantwad, not harboring hatred or enmity for others, regardless of differences of opinion. This is based on the understanding that all truth is relative and subjective. Thus, there is no real reason for hatred based on the idea that your position is right and the other's wrong. Living an ascetic life is the easiest way to live by these values. An ascetic life physically removes one from the social context that demands a certain level of interaction with others and with material goods to which we may become attached. This is the life that some Jains follow by renouncing the world and becoming monks or nuns, taking on the monastic life. There are two major sects of Jainism, primarily distinguished by the type of lifestyle that is adopted by the monastics. Digambara are sky-clad, wearing no clothes. This sect predominates in southern India. They tend to live alone or in small groups in the forest, with the least of possessions and attachments. They also admit only men. The second set of Jain monastics are the Svetambara, or white-clad. As the name suggests, they wear simple white garments. Svetambara predominate in northern India and tend to live in monastic communities, and they admit both men and women. Some can be seen wearing face masks to avoid breathing in and thus harming the minute life forms that live in the air they breathe. They also strain their water to avoid drinking and thus harming the minute life forms that live in the water, and they carry brooms to sweep the path as they walk to avoid unintentionally stepping on and thus harming minute life forms that live on the earth. Jain monastics take 5 vows. Ahimsa, or nonviolence to all life form, is of course the first. They also take a vow to only tell the truth, satya. They take a vow to not take what is not given to them, acharya. Brahmacharya is a vow of celibacy and chastity. Apigraha is the vow of non-attachment and non-possessiveness of material goods. It should, however, be noted that most Jains are not monastics and live a more typical existence as householders or laypersons. They marry and have families. They do try to live a simple lifestyle as possible within the limitations of a more worldly existence, although they may take temporary monastic vows from time to time. They do live by modified vows, the 5 that are followed by monastics, plus 7 more that help them to avoid the pitfalls of worldly living that the monastics avoid altogether. Lay Jains, as monastics, are strict vegetarians or even vegans, avoiding use of any animal-based products and even avoiding certain plant foods such as root vegetables that would necessitate killing the plant life and disturbing the life forms that live in the earth. Lay Jains do not expect to be able to achieve moksha from their current life, as it generally takes a full ascetic life to be able to entirely reduce and eliminate one's karma. Lay Jains observe more typically religious practices, such as making pilgrimages to sacred sites, often related to the lives of the Tirthankaras. They visit temples to show reverence to these great teachers, and they observe several annual holy day festivals. Mahavir Jayanti commemorates the birth of Mahavira. Purushana Parva is an important festival of fasting and repentance for any harm inadvertently done to others. Mahavir Nirvan commemorates the liberation or death of Mahavira. There are a number of sites on the web where you can learn more about Jainism. JainWorld.com, Jainism Literature Center from Harvard University, The Fundamentals of Jainism, Jainism for You, and Jainism Heritage Centers.